And of course, Tammy.
Okay, good. Okay. You're on. That's the main thing. Yeah.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and all of those that are watching online. My name is Sandy Ratliff. I'm with Virginia Community Capital. I'm excited to have Cindy Hagman back, who's been traveling the world to share everything about LinkedIn, and I use LinkedIn at my work continuously. So I'm going to turn it over to her because I see that I'm having some issues with the camera back there.
Okay.
So there you go, Cindy. Take it away.
Thank you. It's right in front of you. No, I'm just kidding. Welcome, coming in. For those of you who are still coming in, did you grab a handout? And you signed in, I'm sure. Okay. You ready? Okay. All right. You can sign in later if you need to. All righty. Let's get this show on the road. Everybody has a handout. I've talked to many of you already. Is everybody, just shows your show of hands, who's on LinkedIn? At the door, are you on LinkedIn? No, okay. Okay, so I've only got, hey Kathy, with only one not on LinkedIn, that's actually really good for us, because sometimes I do a class like this, which is this is kind of a step 2, maybe even a step 3 class, because you can do a basic class on showing people how to get on LinkedIn, and then one of my favorite classes to teach is once you're on LinkedIn, it shows you how to optimize your profile. Optimization is really important because LinkedIn is very, very compatible with sites like Google. So optimization has to do with going in and putting keywords into your profile that are important to you or the industry that you work in or that you want to work in. And when you optimize your profile by putting these keywords and filling out these sections, then it optimizes it with Google. Someone can go to Google and actually put in keywords, and if it's all done correctly, your profile will come up, even if they're in Google, not on LinkedIn. LinkedIn as well has a great search capability. So many, if anybody is looking for a job, for instance, LinkedIn is done quite a bit, used by recruiters and hiring managers. So even if someone gets your resume, for instance, and their resume is on their computer, they're not going to be on paper typically, right? So it's on my computer and I got a resume. When I look at your resume, if I want to look a little further into you, I'm going to look you up on LinkedIn. One of the easiest ways to do that is for you to customize a URL on LinkedIn and actually put that on your resume. And that way someone can go to it. So it's not just for people looking for a job. It's also like if you do a proposal or you have a CV versus a resume. So you actually could use that URL when someone looks at your profile electronically, and they could click and go right to your profile to see a little bit more about you. They want to look and see if they want to do business with you. They want to see what you're about. They want to see what your experience is. They want to see even maybe who you're connected to out in the world. They want to see if you have any recommendations from people. So these are the kind of things that LinkedIn can do for you. That being said, I actually teach a class at Milligan College, and one of the things is we talk about is a resume and how important a resume is. Now, when I'm dealing with college students, their resumes are a lot different than most of us in the room who are a little experienced, let's just say. So they typically will have a one-page resume. They should have a one-page resume, no bigger than that, right? And many of us can actually have a one-page resume too. Even if you have 30 years of experience like I do in marketing, I still like, if I'm putting stuff on paper, I want to keep it as short as possible. I don't need to put all of my information on my resume. It's called, you want to brand yourself to be almost simplistic to a point where you want to draw them in. So whether you're doing, a proposal or your CV or your resume, you want to have something that draws someone in to want to see more about you. That's, again, where you would use your URL on LinkedIn. And someone would click on that, and guess what? They would get to see you in like 3D. They get to see pictures. They get to see all kinds of stuff about you. You can embed media to LinkedIn. So these are just some of the things we're going to talk about today, and we're going to go through this. And this is your little cheat sheet. I always like to do handouts and cheat sheets. I'm one of these people who I feel like you can write all over it and color all over it, whatever you want to do. Doodle. I don't care if you're bored. But if you are bored, let me know, and we'll talk about something else. But I think we can kind of move through this. And if you're not on LinkedIn now and you want to talk to me later or have questions, just I have an email on here, or once you start your profile, you can always connect with me and ask me questions. And anybody in this class is also welcome to connect with me as well. In fact, I encourage it, because if you're in here, that means you have an interest in LinkedIn and improving your brand and improving yourself. I love LinkedIn. I'm on different aspects of social media, and I teach social media, but LinkedIn is by far my favorite because I get to teach to business professionals and people who want to take it up a level versus just putting pictures of their food. They really want to kind of show. Now, unless you're a dietitian, I have a daughter who's a dietitian, so when I say take pictures of your food, then she's like, which that's important too. Depends on your field, right? So we're going to talk about LinkedIn, and we're going to roll through this whole thing. And anybody who has a laptop, or you're welcome to follow along if you choose to. So I pulled up my profile.
Is there a password for the? Oh, I missed it. Sorry.
No worries. I want you to follow along, so I want you in there. So some of you that I talked to when I first walked in said you were on LinkedIn, you kind of dabble in it or whatever, so that's good. So if you're on other aspects of social media, you should pretty much be familiar with kind of how things go. They're all kind of laid out very similar, especially to like Facebook, although, again, we keep this business. So when you first log in, you see this is your news feed. Your news feed are the companies you follow, the people you follow, and also they kind of throw some ads at you. They sponsor some things. They're getting worse about that. It's gotten really bad in the last year or so with all the sponsored stuff, just like Facebook has. So you kind of have to learn how to get around it. You log in, and if you don't want to see the same things all the time, you click this little thing that says top over here and go to recent. And what it will do is change to something that's more recent and update your feed for you. Now, unfortunately, it always defaults back every time you log in to that top. What that means is that somebody either sponsored that ad or it has a lot of likes, engagement attached to it. So that's why it keeps showing up as a top feed. But if you want to see more recent about what's going on, just do that, and then you can see kind of what's going on. So on LinkedIn, you follow other business professionals. You connect with people. So if you connect with me and I post something, you'll probably see what I post. Engagement is a big part of it as well. So becoming an industry thought leader is important when you engage with others in that industry, or to actually showcase kind of what you know. So is anybody in here, I know one person is a writer. Is anybody else do any kind of blogging or writing? You do back there? Okay, good. So you have opportunities within LinkedIn to even further yourself as a writer or blogger, and it can be generically, just kind of like this is what my blog is about this week, or if it's an industry related, or you write white papers, or maybe they're technical things that you're into. For a company, or like myself as a consultant, I work for a lot of different companies, so I wear a lot of different hats. And so I kind of have to be all over the place with following different industries and learning things. So do you know about the publishing component within LinkedIn? Are you excited to learn about it? Okay, good. Okay. So LinkedIn has a very unique publishing component, and anybody can use it. You don't have to be just a writer. But what I want you to know is it's content that you particularly write. It's not content within the publishing component that you would, sharing content from others is great to do on LinkedIn. And let me show you what I mean. So like for instance, Liz Ryan, she's somebody that I follow, and she's an HR professional. If I really liked what she had to say here and I read it and I was like, oh, this is really great, blah, 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 I could actually click this little share button and it would share onto my profile, right? But what I don't want to do is just share it and leave it. So what I would want to do is write something here. So you see this all the time on social media, and it's kind of, to me, it's a faux pas. Like, why am I sharing this? If I just hit post, it's going to be fine and it's going to post. But people who follow me, it doesn't say anything about why I posted this or why I thought this was important to share. This is a really important aspect of developing your brand on LinkedIn. Why did I find this important? So I might want to put something like, hey, this is a friend of mine, or this is something that you should do, or it doesn't really matter what you say, and it doesn't have to be wordy. Just say something so that you're talking about why it's important. Up here, you can actually choose whether to post it publicly. Look at all this. All of these options. These are new. So, which I really like this. There's a lot of changes within LinkedIn. This is one that I actually really like. I typically do public because I don't do Twitter anymore. But you can actually connect LinkedIn with your Twitter if you choose to. Or you can just send it to only people you're connected to, so that only people you're connected to can see that post. And this is new, and I love it. And actually, you could share it to a group. And we're going to talk about groups in a little bit, but this is important because this makes it so much easier than you having to go separately into your group and post something. So in a click of a button, you can actually do something like this. So that's one aspect. That's how you share a post that someone else wrote, okay, or a picture or something else, okay. It's very, very easy. So I'm going to actually back out of this because I'm not going to do it. At the top of your news feed, I'm going to show you how to go to the publishing component. If any of you write, you just hit this right here, and this is the same thing that's at the top of everybody's news feed page. And I'm going to click write an article. If I wanted to post something, I would just post, okay? But I'm going to write an article. It opens up a new window, if you notice. This new window is asking for a big cover. So definitely take advantage of photos. Photos are important. What do they always say about, that speaks 1,000 words or whatever a photo does? When you're posting something on here. Did we learn this? Did you learn this before with me? Have you ever used it? Yes. I love that. Thank you. Post something here. Now, sometimes I have read interesting interesting comments about somebody writing an article and then posting a completely different picture just to draw people in. So it's really about drawing people in, kind of a fun way. Don't miss the opportunity of putting a photo, though. That's my point. You can actually write the article in Word or in some other format and copy and paste it into here. And don't forget your headline either. But it's really easy to do, and it gives you the analytics on your own to see who's looked at it, who's shared it, who's commented on it, and it goes further. It provides SEO for you as a writer. So if you write something, and I need to be better at this, I'll be honest with you. If I was more of a writer, I should do this over the holidays maybe, I should take a lot of my presentations that I have and put them into LinkedIn in this publishing component. Because people could go to them, they could comment, they could share, they could ask questions, and it would give me credibility for my brand as a LinkedIn instructor. So, it's all these kind of things. It's like layering the things to establish your brand. So it's very helpful. This is uniquely helpful because you're discussing something within your realm that you know about and you're confident about. So life coaching. You could come up with an article, even if you're not a writer. Certainly you've got things that you could write about or pull from, and you could write something about kind of a topic of the week or a topic of the month and come up with something that could strengthen you. You would make me see it and go, wow, like she only knows what she's talking about. I think I'm going to reach out to her. Those are kind of things that no matter what you do, you have some story that you could tell here. And it's very similar to blogging. And you said you blog a little bit. Do you blog often or?
No, like for example, I just wrote a report yesterday about a race that I did this past weekend. I shared that with my.
What kind of race was it? Tell us.
It was a 50-mile trail run. So
Okay.
I just wanted to
Gosh,
know,
I'm
in terms of building your brand, how much do you include only your professional life versus?
What do you do professionally?
I work at United Way in Southwest Virginia.
Okay, so she's had a really good question. So, like the race was a personal thing of
But
yours.
It shows something about my character. Like
Absolutely, it does. So people do business with people they like, and so always think of that. But also think people that they have something in common with. If I were a runner, not in my wildest dreams, but if I were a runner and I saw this article that you posted, I would want to connect with you instantly because I'd say, wow, that's really cool that she does that. And I want to learn more. I want to know what the next race she's going to do, or maybe we can train together, or these kind of things. So even as a business professional, keeping it at that level, it's okay to dabble in a few things to show your personality. So when I'm working with my students at Milligan, this is something that I talk to them about all the time, is that establishing their brand. Now, they're at a point in their life where they don't really know what their brand is yet, right? And many of us in this room don't even know what our brand is yet. But when you're, think of when you were 20 years old and how far you've come now. Now, it's only been a year or two for me, since I was 20. But okay, thank you for laughing. But we're different people than we were back then. And our goals and aspirations and things that we thought at 20 were important are completely different at 56 than they were at 20. So, and this is why LinkedIn actually is very nice, because you can evolve and it can evolve with you. And you can take some things off. So, when I talk to my students about their brand, I say, what your brand is now, and they don't get this at all usually, is probably not at 30 what your brand is going to be, because life takes you in different directions. So you may be going to school right now to be a nurse, and that's a wonderful occupation and a wonderful goal. But what if you got into it and you really didn't like it, and it took you to a whole different aspect of maybe the medical field, or maybe not? There's a lot of people who don't actually do what they went to school for. And so that's what I try to tell them about their brand. You create it now at a young age, and then let LinkedIn kind of evolve with it. And then as you get to a point, for instance, last semester I had a student at Milligan who was actually in her 30s, so she was, not a traditional student, which I get excited about things like that. But she had gone to school and become an accountant. I mean, she was a CPA. She was completely switching gears, and she had decided in her mid-30s that she wanted to go into physical therapy. I mean, you're let's face it. And physical therapy is changed so much too, because you pretty much need a doctorate now at that point. So she was working on her master's in physical therapy. So she came to me and she said, how in the world do I mesh? And my experience as an accountant is on my LinkedIn, and it's my brand and who I am, but this is who I want to be, so that those type of things create a challenge, but they're very possible for you to do, and LinkedIn is a wonderful component to be able to do that, because we worked on her LinkedIn. We did not want to wipe out her years as an accountant, because anybody who's ever gotten their taxes done, or anybody who knows a CPA, I've worked in 3 accounting firms as marketing director. I know the value and how hard it is and how hard those people work. So I told her to keep that stuff on there and then just start building in her, into her experience and her education, which is all she really had at this point. So any of us can do that, whether we're reinventing ourselves or whether we're just evolving. I'm not even sure if I like the word reinventing, because I think evolving is because we've all kind of started someplace and we've kind of grown to someplace else. Is there anybody who is doing exactly what they thought they would do at 20 years old? Yeah. And did you have your hand up, sir?
Just a question you made me think of. Is the LinkedIn like Facebook and so others, that it notifies your contacts or your friends when you make changes to your profile?
All right. Good question. And we're going to talk about that right now. So I'm going to go back to our feed, right? I'm going to show you how to turn off your notifications. So it's on the top up here, but it's kind of vague. So this is where you would make your notes. And this is the first thing you really do when you start working on your profile, because when you start your profile, it's defaulted to notify people when you make changes. What you want to do is turn off those notifications, okay? And so we're going to go to our little picture. Hopefully everybody has a picture. And we're going to go down to settings and privacy. And I put it on here, but this will give you a little more detail. And in the middle here, you've got account, privacy, ads, communications. We're going to click the privacy one. And then if you go down a little bit, they keep moving this around, but it's sharing profile edits. And what you want to do is change this to no. Everybody, if you're on your computer, it might be yes, because that's what the default is. You just click change and change it to no. Now, LinkedIn used to be able to allow you to do it right on your front page over on the right-hand side. There was a little lever that you could turn. There's also another way to do it when you get into communications, but this is one of the easier ways. You may discover by accident the other, usually there's 2 or 3 ways to do everything. We all know that, right, in life in general. So do that. And while we're back here in your settings, I just want you guys to, when you get on your computers, or if you're on there now, go on there and make sure that your settings are set to how you want it. This is one of the most important things for privacy and communication as well. So one of the complaints I get a lot from people is like, oh, I get so many emails from LinkedIn. Well, that's your fault. If you don't want any emails from LinkedIn, you go in and you adjust your settings. If you want emails from LinkedIn, say you are looking for a job or you're trying to get yourself out into the community in front of people, then you probably want to turn on some of those so that you are notified either on your phone or by email. And but you just go in and be aware of what your settings. Email addresses. You can have 2 email addresses in here. That's another question I get a lot. You can have a main one, and if you have it can be your work email address, or it can be a Gmail or something like that. But these are all part of your settings. Have phone numbers, have passwords. Make sure things are the way you want it. I also have a 2-step verification on my LinkedIn setup. So if I if someone's trying to log into my account, I actually get notified on my phone. Or if I go log in, hi Jennifer, happy birthday. If I go log in from somewhere, like when I go to ETSU tomorrow, I'll be logging into their computer to teach. I will have to get a notification on my phone with a code and password because I have a two-step. It's basically notifying me that, hey, someone from a different computer is logging on or trying to log on, and I say, oh, it's okay, and I put in the little code. So I do encourage you to do things like that for your own safety in your settings. We don't know why people try to hack into some of our, here's the two-step verification right here. You just turn it on. Super easy. So be familiar with everything back here, and don't be afraid to click, and don't be afraid to look at it and go into it. And see where it says you're the boss of your account? They absolutely mean that. You are truly the boss of your account on what you can see, what you can't see, what they can see, all of that. So be familiar with that. Okay, so we turned off our notifications. So when we make changes now, it's not going to be blasted out to the whole world, that just the people you're connected to, really, not the whole world. So when you're creating your profile, and everybody said, except for one person said they already have a profile, I'm going to go to mine. Be thinking of some things that you can, keywords that you can put into your profile, and you can kind of sprinkle them around. The keywords will be your industry words. So when you are working towards getting that brand that you want, your keywords are going to be completely different than mine and from his and from theirs. So the keywords for life coaching are, you may even have to investigate some really good ones. And did you know you can even search within LinkedIn to find some things like that? So I just put life coach in here on LinkedIn, and it's got 1,082,000. Look at all the people. It's got people, and it'll have jobs and stuff too. So basically anything that has the word life coach in it will come up. You don't have to be connected to them. The people you are connected to will come up first. So you can see, like, these two people I'm connected to, and then it's got people down here that say second. Well, this one says first. But see, you can actually go and kind of look at other profiles. If you go to someone's profile, keep in mind that they'll be able to see that you actually went to their profile. So not that that's a bad thing, because if you, for instance, as a life coach, if you connected with some other life coaches or were in an organization or association, and maybe they weren't your competition, maybe they were somewhere else, you actually could probably learn from each other. And I find that with marketing to be the case, that other marketers love to learn from each other and love that you kind of gather strength from them, and it's your peer group. And so if you're not involved in an association or an organization, I would encourage you to kind of join either national or regional or state or something, because and that goes the case with any industry. When I come back from a conference, or even if I have lunch or coffee with someone who does the same thing that I do, we feed off from each other, and I come back and I'm energized, because sometimes you feel a little bit like, oh, it's the same thing, or nobody understands, or this. So you need that. It's real important. Life coaches need life coaches too, right? And I know that I love when someone in my industry calls me or texts me or messages me, whatever, and says, hey, you want to go have coffee? You want to go have lunch? I'm like, yes, because I realize it's going to be a good conversation, and we're going to feed off from each other. And now, what I don't like is for someone to call me and have coffee and want to sell me something. So that's not fun. But if somebody just wants to pick your brain and you talk, Lord knows I can talk, so it's really fun. So.
Excuse me, my wife just texted me and said she's sick, so I've got to go home. But I
Oh,
will
no.
watching online if it's ready and available.
I hope she's okay. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I hope it's not contagious. So, another thing with you, when you, yeah,
Well, finish your thought and I'll ask my question.
no, go.
Amanda Gardner at Marian Henry College.
We've met before, Amanda.
We met through Beth Anderson.
Who I
You
love.
presented at one of our consortium meetings.
Yes.
I'm sorry if I'm stupid, but I don't understand the third, second, first
Connections?
connections.
Okay.
Amanda, I've never been part of that, so.
Okay, yay. Actually,
Okay. So, and like Amanda, like I had said, this is kind of a little bit of a third tier kind of class. So thanks for bringing that up. So that's what you're connected to for people. So on LinkedIn, your goal is to connect with other people. So if I'm connected directly to you, Amanda, which we might be,
yes, we are.
you're going to be a first connection for me. So if you and I are connected, but you've got people within your connection that I'm not connected to, they're called a second connection. Because it's like a second cousin.
Right.
Everybody knows what a second or a third cousin is, right? Yeah.
They show up at reunions.
They show up for reunions for food, right? But that's pretty much what that is. It's the distance between. So when someone shows up as a second connection, that's actually pretty close,
Right.
because
And
if
can I go in and see how that we are connected?
yeah, typically. So
Sorry to get us sidetracked, but
no, this is
I work at college and I have been using LinkedIn like crazy with these students, and we'll be searching.
Tell me what college you work at again.
Emory and Henry College.
Oh yeah.
So,
You guys need to have me come and teach a class like I do for.
can you work a good deal for us?
Yeah, I can work a good deal. Just contact me. Because I really like it's really good to go in there and work with those kids. But anyway, so let me look at I need to find someone I'm not connected to. Are you on? What's your name?
Fallon Ray, Fallonray.
Okay, Fallon. Is this you?
Yeah, I'm bad, I don't have a picture.
Your graphic design?
We're not going to shame Fallon, but.
I was encouraging.
Yeah. Okay, so for instance, Fallon and I are not connected. We can go in and we can see our mutual connections to each other, which are right here. So we can go in and we can see Elena and Dana and all these people. He and I are both connected to those people. So that's one thing that LinkedIn and Facebook does it too. It kind of drives me crazy with Facebook. But LinkedIn will come up and say, hey, you have a lot of connections mutually with this person. 7's not a huge number, but I've actually been connected to someone, had mutual connections, like 30 and 40 mutual connections with people. That's a lot. So LinkedIn will kind of come up and suggest you might want to connect with Fallon because you have 40 mutual connections. That means we run in the same circles. That means that we're probably actually going to run into each other if we haven't already, and there's probably no reason why we're not connected if we have that many mutual connections. Does that make sense? So on Facebook, when it happens, it just annoys me because those are usually the people I'm trying to avoid, but on LinkedIn, it's more of, business and stuff like that. So you can see the mutual connections. I cannot see his regular connections right here. See, it says he has 255 connections, but it doesn't allow me to click on them and go in, only the mutual ones. But the mutual ones are really helpful because that's why you would connect with someone, is you run in the same circles, basically. Does that make sense? Your brain, come on, Amanda, work with me.
Well, what if someone had popped up and it had a 3?
Yeah, and here's a 3. The 3 is just your third cousin. So it's a further away connection. It's a little bit of a stretch. So I don't know this lady at all, but it says we're third connected. I don't even think we have any mutual connections. It doesn't look like we even do. So she's a stretch for me. However, I can still click on this and send her a connection request if I choose to. In this situation, I would put a message here as to why I want to connect with her, since she doesn't probably know me from anyone else in the world being a third connection, and we have no mutual connections. If Fallon and I wanted to connect, and he wasn't in my class and we didn't know each other, but if I just saw, oh, he's a graphic designer and we run in the same circles, I'd like to connect with him, I could actually send him a message right here and say, hey, Fallon, we've got a lot of mutual connections. I'd like to connect with you. It can be something as simple as that. Now, with this woman, her being a little bit distant, I would have to explain a little bit more. We don't have any mutual connections, so that's gone. I'd have to say something like, want to talk to you about business. So she's a graphic designer, so she'd probably be more than likely to accept my connection as long as I'm not trying to sell her anything or be, or date her or anything like that, which, don't get me started on that. So this is what happens when someone's a third connection. You can also send them a message if you choose to, and they can actually get a message from you. Now, I have a paid account, so that may not be the same with everyone, but because I have a paid account, I can do a little bit more. I'm not saying that you need a paid account, not at all. If you get to the point where you think you might want a paid account, feel free to reach out to me and we can talk about the value. Yes?
I was going to ask a question about that, because a few minutes ago when you were doing the publishing, it had the headline. I was following along on my iPad here, and I can post, but it didn't have the headline.
It might be your iPad.
Is it because of the iPad?
Yeah, iPad is completely different. So it should be, did you see that, Amanda, when you went into it?
I'm gonna click on that right now.
Yeah, look.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I don't have it yet.
Yeah, iPads are kind of quirky within LinkedIn, phones as well. So when you're, and for this class, it's great that you have something to follow along with, but when you're actually doing stuff on here, I really, really advise you to sit down in front of a laptop or a computer and actually do everything that you can possibly do when you're making these changes, especially since you want it live and in color in front of you, and you don't want to be limited. You don't want to be limited.
So if Amanda looks on your profile, how can you tell that she's in? It's paid feature.
Well, you can see it. You can see you can see so many people, even without a paid. I can see like all the people. So
So is she, the one that you just clicked on, is she going to see where you were there?
she not because I have mine not closed off as anonymous. That's in my settings because I pay for that. And let me explain to you why I do that. It's not that I wouldn't care if she saw me, because as a consultant, I have a lot of different companies who hire me to do things for them. And I'm representing different companies when I go in and do research or do things, and I have to look at different accounts. It wouldn't be beneficial for them to necessarily know that Cindy looked at their account, because I'm doing it on behalf of someone else, if that makes any sense. So I usually just keep mine shut down as anonymous, and I can do that with a paid account. You can do it with an unpaid account, but it limits you on a lot of other things. So I don't ever advise it. And if you get to the point where you're really utilizing it, so Amanda, you say you're going to get in there and you're going to really do this, and if you're really committed to this, we probably need to have a discussion about it and what platform you want to pay for and do, because it really will give you a lot more opportunity. Some people will contact me that I've been teaching or working with or mentoring, and they say, I want to do this, but I want my company to pay for it. Will you help me with that? So I help them kind of come up with a justification on getting things like that paid for your company. So if you're using it for business, you're using it for them, they should pay for it. And usually I can write up something or help you with things like that too.
How much
Who asked that? You, okay, sorry. That just sounded like it went somewhere else. It depends on, there's different levels. There's different levels, so. It used to be $250 a year, but I think it's jumped up to like $500 a year, but you can pay it monthly, or you can pay in one. I still pay $250 because I've had my account for so long, and I don't get paid by LinkedIn, but they actually recognized me as someone who was helping them, and so I got grandfathered in and I pay $250, and I've been paying $250 for a number of years. And now I think that level that I'm at is at $500. But each year I'm always like, am I gonna make me pay more? You know, but if you're in business, it's a business write-off as well. So it's just one of those other things that you can put into your taxes for writing things off if you utilize it and utilize it well. So Fallon, do you have 2 LinkedIn accounts?
I do, and I don't remember exactly how to have it.
Okay, you need to delete one of those. And decide which one you want to keep, which is probably this one at the top. And can I use your profile for an example? Okay. This is a blank slate. And this is great. I actually am happy that this happened. So, he's a graphic designer. He wants to brand himself as the best graphic designer, right? Right? Not mediocre, not da-da-da. If I want to hire you, you think I'm going to hire you if I go to this? It doesn't show me anything. So you need to have something up here for your cover photo to showcase who you are, what you do. Maybe it's a piece of your original work, or maybe it's a picture. Maybe, whatever it needs to be, it needs to kind of show a little bit about who you are. You need to have a photo of yourself. You need to get rid of the other profile, and you can delete that within your settings. And because you don't want confusion from me wanting to hire you and go, you have 2 accounts. So okay, so that being said, visually, you're going to make it more appealing. That's just visually. We're not even putting words down yet. So it looks like you may have something embedded in here for media.
It wasn't Behance.
It's gone now.
And I don't know why, but the account Behance is still there.
Okay, so this brings us to another part of our branding yourself here. And you can embed media into your profile. You can't do that if you send someone a proposal, or you can't send it, it makes it very hard with a resume even. So right here, he should have some of his artwork or portfolio or something. When I work with Milligan students and their graphic designers, we really talk about what you can put here and what will really show. If they're looking for a job, which most of them will be soon, it's so important for them to be able to showcase. They've got to set themselves apart from all those other people that either I want to hire or as an employee, or I want to hire to do work for me. So this is really a great opportunity for you. I think graphic designers have an amazing opportunity here. In almost any industry does have an opportunity to embed something. If you've gotten an award, or if you've been highlighted in a newspaper article, or anything like that you may not think it's important, but anything you'd want to show your mom. Let me just put it up, say, hey mom, look, I was in a newspaper article, and then you have to go and you have to cut out the newspaper article if she doesn't live here, and you have to send it to her. You might want to scan that article if it talks about you and embed it in here. If you have to dig a little deeper, it's okay, because everybody has something that they can probably put there. And you just kind of have to think. And if you really have to dig too far, contact me and we'll kind of talk about it. A lot of times I'll have a conversation with someone and a light bulb will go off for them, because I'll say, have you ever done this or that? And it doesn't have to be an award necessarily about your career. Maybe you got recognized for volunteer work, or something you did in the community. So those are the kind of things that everybody doesn't always think of those things when they're necessarily thinking about their career. But what does that do? It shows your character, shows your credibility, so it shines through. Yes?
Can you do a video?
Yes, you can embed video as well.
Like we've done, I'm with the Graphic Center, they've interviewed us on TV before.
Yeah.
So we could do like those, we put those interviews on there?
Yeah, yeah. And you just have to be careful that they don't redirect it, which is probably what happened to Fallon's. He probably had something on there that somebody might have owned the link and they may have redirected the link. So you can put it on there, but just check it every so often and make sure the link is still up and running and stuff. So the other thing is, so it doesn't show on here because this isn't my profile, this is Fallon's. But if I were able to edit it, and I'll show you mine in a second, he could actually embed some of his work from Food City if he were allowed to do that, if it wasn't proprietary. So you could, and it shows a little bit more about kind of what you can do and what you're about. Does that help everybody? Let me show you, let me go back to, so you're going to work on your account, right? You have a lot of opportunity. I'm just saying, you have a lot of opportunity. Huh?
That's a real nice way to say that, thank you.
No, I'm serious. I am not actually even trying to be nice, because that's not my nature. But but what I'm trying to tell you is that because visual is so important, and graphic design is just a perfect way to shine through. It's not just going to be a plain paper. It could be something. And I have a daughter who's a textile designer. She works for Kohl's. And so I get to go into the store and purchase things that she's actually designed. And so I've gone through the whole graphic design thing. And I have a son-in-law who's a motion graphics designer. And that's all cartoons and things that move and stuff. So I really appreciate the value of what you bring to the table. And you have tremendous opportunity. If I can help you, let me know. So that being said, we just looked at Fallon's profile, and then mine is colorful. So you know, what draws you to this is the visual, right? But what's going to keep you there is what is the content. So you kind of have to draw people in. And this cover photo, it's kind of a picky thing, but I think I put the dimensions in here for it. If I didn't.
Yes, it's at the bottom.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you're right. So at the bottom, it'll tell you the header cover photo. It tells you the pixels and the thing. They're real kind of picky about this. They also kind of prefer a PNG, so if you can change it for some reason, it may just be dependent upon, you know, how I log in, but sometimes I can't even do a JPEG on there. It won't even accept it. So you may have to play with it a little bit, but it has to be within these parameters, and to actually even upload. This was just a photo that I took out the plane window when I was flying back a couple months ago, I guess. I just thought it was so pretty. It doesn't speak anything really about what I do, but I do travel a lot, so it was kind of, and I love the mountains here, so I stuck that up there for now. I try to change it, you know, like once a quarter, so almost seasonally kind of putting something out there a little bit different. And if you don't have a photo that you took, there's free photos out there. There's one called Pixabay. Does anybody know that one? And so you can actually find, you know, like, here's free images, Pixabay. If you're not familiar with this, write this down. And you can just search photos, and it gives you free images that you can use. And so say I like this image, I wanted to use it, it would allow me to do a free download, and it actually allows me to kind of put it into the size that I need. So it kind of helps. But this is a free download program, and I recommend it. And you know, it's not perfect, but it certainly is. You know, there are graphics that you're allowed to use, and that's really important that you don't just take someone else's photos and use them as yours.
Another really good one is Pexels, P-E-X-E-L-S.
P-E-X-E-L-S.
Pexels.com.
See? You already are providing opportunities for us and information, so thank you for that. Everybody got that written down? So, you know, this is all part of your branding of who you are. So think of things that, you know, are creative for you. So in my example here of even of this photo here, which is called your headshot or profile photo, I typically tell people just to kind of keep themselves in the photo and not to distract with other people. I don't like it when there's 2 people in a photo on LinkedIn. I get very confused about that because I'm always like, which one are you? And, you know, so keep it yourself. But if you are graphic design artist or whatever, you know, I kind of gave you a little example on here of one. Now this comes out and makes her picture very, very small. And I do not know this woman, but I thought it was interesting because she's standing next to like a piece of artwork. And yeah, she's really tiny, but if it's on your computer, you could actually, you know, make it larger if you wanted to see more of her. But I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. It's a piece of her artwork, and she's kind of telling a story with that photo. So that's perfectly acceptable. Another example, if it's someone, I get asked this a lot from college students especially, can I have my dog in the photo? And I'm like, typically no, but if you're with the dog, I guess it's okay because, again, people do business with people they like. So, you know, when you're trying to establish yourself as a professional, that's more of a Facebook photo or Instagram. But you know, just try to limit that kind of stuff when you're first starting. I get that one a lot. And I'm a dog lover, and I could cover this whole page with my 4 rescue dogs, but I don't. So but I do have. If you're on Facebook with me, you'll see it. Because there's a time and a place for everything, right? Okay, any questions on the visual part of your brand? Okay, now we're gonna jump down a little bit. So this whole little section here is really important, and I want you to take note on this too. This line right here is your most valuable real estate within LinkedIn. That provides more SEO for you than anything else on this page. So SEO, search engine optimization. So that means if someone's looking for you, your skills, your industry in Google or even within LinkedIn, you'll come up if it's optimized. So how you change it, you click this little blue pencil, just like every other way to edit, and you go in and you change your headline right here. And on here, I think I put so 120 characters max, and if it's defaulting to already have something in there from your experience, like maybe it'll say manager of, and it'll have the name of the business, that's kind of wasted for you. You probably should put what you do in there. You know, actually what you do. You don't need to put the name of the company in there because they're actually listed beside you, and that's kind of wasting that valuable real estate like I told you about. It's only 120 characters. So, you know, Fallon, you have an opportunity to kind of put some of your expertise right in here if you choose to do that. And if you want to list several things, I always just put the little lines here to kind of separate it rather than a comma. I think it kind of looks more professional. You can play with it. Now that you have your notifications off, it won't get blasted out to your connections that you've changed this. Because this is one of the triggers that when you change that line, it gets blasted out. So make sure your notifications are turned off. That being said, you can go back in and flip your notifications back on if you land a job or you get a promotion or something happens where you want to change this and you want it blasted out to people, then you you put your notifications back on, change that line, and sit back, because people will start sending you messages of congratulations or whatever, because LinkedIn's going to send that out. Any questions on that? Okay, so this is all your edit section down here and for your contact information. This is where you put your summary. So when you write your summary, it's your professional story. And it's 2,000 characters max. You don't have to use 2,000 characters. But this is what I tell people. Write it in Word, run a spell check. If you want to do any formatting with bullets or anything, this is the opportunity to do it within Word, because LinkedIn doesn't have those components yet. I'm hoping they will at some point, especially spell check. I can't tell you how many people I see and their title is manger instead of manager. It's very common. There's so many mangers out there. I'm always like, is that a Christmas title or what? And some people I don't even know, and I just want to contact them and go, really? Put an extra A in there. Very common. It's always nice to write your story and kind of tell how you got to maybe where you're at without going into too much detail, private detail. So a little backstory about me. I have 30 years marketing experience. My husband was in the Navy for 26 years, and he was a submarine commander. So needless to say, we moved around a lot, and there was a lot of job hopping, or every time we moved, I'd have to find another job if I wanted to work. And being in marketing was great because I could usually just kind of jump into something else. I didn't have to wait for certifications or get, in different states. So when he retired from the Navy, he was in Norfolk, Virginia, and he actually got a job in Oak Ridge because he's in the nuclear industry. And part of the job was for his spouse to get a life coach. A career coach, I think they called it, actually, not a life coach. But my husband, being the nuclear engineer that he is, which he's an amazing man, but we're polar opposites, as you can imagine. He came home and he said, oh, here's all of the things they're offering with the move and all their standard stuff. And he said, yeah, and they're even offering you a career coach. Ha, ha, ha. And I looked at him, I go, really? I go, a career coach? And he said, yeah. And he goes, but I told him you wouldn't want that. Okay, really? Like, we've been married a long, long time. I said, that is a tremendous opportunity for me. And I really want to take advantage of that. And so anyway, they connected me with a lady who was out in the Midwest, and we did everything by phone and email and text and stuff. And she was the one who said to me, I'll show you my summary. She critiqued, she loved my LinkedIn profile, and she loved all my experience that I have. And she's the one who said to me, because I've always worked for other companies, she always says, you need to brand yourself as CindyHagman.com, which, that was just her way of saying brand yourself. And I was like, what? What do you mean by that? And she said, you have enough experience that you can go out there and you can teach others and you can train other people, all the different industries, and with your marketing experience. And I just had never thought of that. I always just thought I had to go work for someone else, that was just the way it was. And so she gave me the idea and the confidence and so forth to do that, because she said, normally when I work with people, I have to start from the beginning. They don't have a resume, they don't have a LinkedIn, they don't have any brand, they don't have, they may have a college degree, but that's about all they have. And but she said, you're unique and you have a unique story to tell. So I really got encouraged and excited, but she said, you're missing a big component within your LinkedIn profile. At this point, I was teaching LinkedIn, and I thought, what is she talking about? She said, you're not telling your true story on LinkedIn. And it took me back a little bit, and she said, your husband's career had a big impact on who you are and what you ended up doing. And she said, because of that, you need to bring some of that story into your story. on LinkedIn. And I had always been taught to keep things very separate. So I never ever mentioned any of that, within LinkedIn. It was just about me, which really it should be, right? It's about you. But she really made me look at things a whole different way, because she said, otherwise, if someone looks at your profile and they don't know your Navy connection, that you've had to live in 12 states in the last 26 years, they may not realize why you had to change jobs so often. And a big light bulb went off for me, because it just never occurred to me that any of that would be an impact. So I tell you this story because then I had to kind of write a little bit of my husband's career without going into too much detail, because I didn't want it about him. Because it's still my story, but it was kind of how it made me who I am today, right? So I tell you that because you may have something similar. So your story is fascinating to me because you homeschooled children for, how many children do you have?
16 and 18.
Okay. Oh, yeah, fun. Boys or girls?
16-year-old boy and 18-year-old daughter.
Okay. And you're almost to the end. How fun is that? Yeah. I have 4 kids. I have 2 boys and 2 girls, so I can totally relate, but I could have never homeschooled any of them. No way. So I really have a lot of respect for people who can do that. I couldn't even help them with their homework after 4th grade because I was not smart enough to do the math. But that's why I married a nuclear scientist who could, right? Your story is unique, and so you have to put your summary into that. So kind of what led you to do what you're doing now. And when I wrote my summary, and I changed my summary a lot, and we all should. You shouldn't just stick to the same summary because we change and evolve like I talked about. But when this career coach was talking to me about my summary, it really hit me hard that I had not ever addressed any of that before. And because why? I assumed people would hire me because of me, or they already knew. That's a crazy assumption, both of them. First of all, they don't know me, and second of all, they certainly don't know my backstory unless I tell it to them. So this is why it's important for you, if you're looking for people to do business with you, that you tell a little bit of that story, if it's relevant. If it's not, leave it out. If you have changed jobs a lot, I encourage you to talk about it a little bit. Perhaps there's a reason behind it. Maybe, I've had people, like the student that I had who was a CPA that decided to become a physical therapist. There's a story there. And I encouraged her to talk about her years as a CPA and then kind of why she was drawn to this other profession. So, did you have a question? And so those are important things, whether you're looking for a job or whether you're looking for someone to even connect with you or to brand yourself. This is part of who you are. Any questions on that? The other thing I will encourage you to do is when you write your summary, write it in Word, and if you want me to look at it, send it to me, and I'll be happy to look at it because it doesn't ever hurt to have someone else look at it. Another pair of eyeballs. I don't know your life, so you may be writing with some acronyms or some things that other people may not be familiar with. I can't tell you how many times that happens when I'm helping people. I do a lot of military because of my husband. A lot of friends and a lot of people reach out to me to help them with their LinkedIn profiles and their resumes. And when I'm looking at it, it is so filled with acronyms that not everybody is familiar with those. So I encourage them to kind of write some things out and then put it on paper. And so if you have someone not in your industry that can look at it, it's actually a little bit of an advantage. Because if I don't understand it, I don't even know if I want to bring you in to look at it. I looked at one recently that the person was an IT professional. And boy, she had tons of experience. She was great, but she couldn't get hired. But when I looked at her resume, it was 2 pages 2 solid pages, I kid you not, of nothing but acronyms. Okay, so that's not my field. And you can say, well, but if it gets in front of the right person, they'll hire her. However, a lot of times, hiring managers are not in that profession. They may be HR managers. They have no idea what they're looking at. So what companies do is they'll say, well, look, we're looking for someone with this, this, and this experience. But if I get 2 pages of nothing but acronyms that have to do with IT, and I'm a hiring manager, and I'm not familiar with any of this stuff, I'm going to just look for what they told me to look for from that department, and if it doesn't pop out at me immediately, they may not get a second chance. So it's got to be kind of quick and out there. And I really encourage this gal to go to a 1-page resume and utilize her LinkedIn, because guess what? She had nothing on her LinkedIn. It looked like yours. It looked like yours, Fallon. I mean, really, I wouldn't be able to tell you from her, except she had a picture. But that's where she could really shine with her brand, is on LinkedIn, with putting all of this experience and all of this information, and really, really boosting it up, because someone would probably find her by searching. That's where the hiring managers are on there. So all those acronyms that she was using, very important to use on LinkedIn. Okay, so you're going to tell your professional story on your summary. Summary is so important to put some keywords in there. This is the other thing that I encourage you to do, is perhaps think about using some bullets instead of being too wordy. The bullets have to be formatted in something like Word. They don't have a formatting option on LinkedIn yet, even though it's owned by Microsoft. Go figure. We might be getting there. This is where you can put some of your keywords for the things that you are known for, that you do, or that you have expertise in. So use your bullets. It's easier to read. People will glance over bullets. They may not read a paragraph, but they will definitely look over. In the lady who had all the acronyms for the IT, so I told her to really utilize this. So if you need any help with this part, let me know. It's also hard to write about yourself, but you need to write in first person, write like you wrote it. LinkedIn, everything that you read about LinkedIn, people, all the professionals will tell you, do not write that Cindy did this and Cindy did that. To take responsibility for it, that I did this, or this is what was accomplished, and write about accomplishments. Just don't use buzzwords in here. You can go onto any account and pull crazy buzzwords from industry, that you were a dynamic, inspiring, blah, 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 blah. Don't do that. Put it down to the pavement and pound that pavement and say some of the accomplishments and things that you did, or that you're responsible for. Things that you're most proud of should go in your summary. This is how you brand yourself. So this is where I've got some media embedded. So we talked about that a little bit, right? So look at my media went away, just like you and I talked about. So I need to go in and search into this and either reroute my media or take it down, because that looks terrible. Let me see if it's going to come up. Oh, it went to Amazon. That's interesting. I was actually in this book as the only LinkedIn professional for the AICPA, and that's interesting. But you have to know to click into that. So I'll have to go in and play around with that to make that look better. You're going to have a dashboard. Everybody has a dashboard. It tells you who's viewed your profile, article views that you've written, and how many times you've appeared in a search on LinkedIn. Here, if you're looking for a job, you can actually turn this to on and let recruiters know you're open. You can actually turn this to on. Nobody sees it but you. It's private. So like if you're working someplace and you turn that to on, it doesn't mean you're going to get inundated with recruiters. It just means that it's going to click a button for them to know that you're open for jobs. But this is kind of new, and it's an opportunity. And I always have all my college students do that for sure.
So I hadn't turned on my LinkedIn page at the Career Advice page.
Mm-hmm.
And came in and asked me for advice on going from consulting business to marketing. So I thought, well, before I start a conversation, I clicked on this guy's
Profile, as you should.
and the first thing that pops up is a certificate of achievement as a cannabis grower.
Really?
And I thought, I don't think I'm ready.
Where does he live?
South Carolina.
Is it legal there?
I don't know. I had no idea. But, sometimes people will, drag you into a conversation that isn't necessarily, so I guess my point is it's always good to review their profile before you start.
I fully advise for you always to look at someone's profile, whether you know them or not. I still go to their profile. If any of you sent me a message, I would probably go look at your profile. And so I think that's good. He probably really did want business, because that's turning into a huge business now. But with it still being, I don't think it's legal in South Carolina. I've not heard of any of the southern states that have approved that. I might be wrong, but you certainly don't want to get involved with anything illegal activity or anything like that. Now, if he was in Colorado, it's legal out there. But just because I have mine off, I still get people sending me jobs and stuff. So it's not going to deter that necessarily, Kathy, because if they see what you do, then someone could still send you a message about something. But it doesn't encourage it. Does that make sense? So then you've got your articles and activities. So if I'm connected to Amanda and I want to go into her profile and I want to get to know her a little bit better after I read her stuff, I could actually see the things that she's liked. I have to be connected to her to do that. But it gives me a little bit more insight to you. So if you were actually going to hire someone, for instance, you could actually connect with them, or maybe they'll connect with you. You could actually go in and see kind of the stuff that they're into or that they look at. This is great for prospecting for businesses too, to kind of look at people and see what they're into and what they're interested in. Yes?
So my profile has been very static, and I really haven't used LinkedIn for any of this articles and activity stuff. So if I'm just starting with that, where would you recommend? Like what do you even do in there?
Put a couple of your blogs on there in your publishing component, and then when you go to your news feed where you log in, go through and see who you're connected to and what any articles of interest, even if you just like something. So I was looking to see if I had one that was just likes, because it'll even tell me if I just like something on here. So you have to start basic, and I don't encourage people just to come out like 100% strong, but a couple times a week log in to LinkedIn, and when you go in there, go with intention. Go with intention of improving your brand. So follow and connect with people that you want to be connected to, and that's all part of establishing who you are. And then you can share articles once you start following. So if you saw an article that I shared, for instance, because we're connected, you could actually comment on the article, or you could share it yourself, because that gives you the opportunity to do that. And so it's all part of putting out there who you are. And what do you, tell me what you do.
Data and compliance managers, my current.
Wonderful.
When you were talking about like graphic design and putting stuff on there, nobody wants to see any spreadsheets on there.
No, they don't. No, that's true.
Does
True.
United Way let you put like their banner or something?
Oh, you're with United Way. Oh, you've got lots of opportunity to use United Way information and stuff, though. Yeah. You're right, Amanda. So maybe not necessarily what you do, but more about who you work for and what you do, which if you work for someone and you're loyal to them, you should be promoting that company or that organization anyway. Anything that they put out there, you should be sharing and liking. That's a huge thing. When I work with teams, I'll go into a company and I'll work with that entire team on how to promote that business and to get it. And that's part of what we say is that you need to follow that company, and then when you'll see their posts and make sure that the minimum that you like it. You can, of course, share it, say something about it. You can comment on it too, you know.
I see we have like a Twitter account, a Facebook feed, but I don't know that we have LinkedIn.
So find out if they do. Find out if they do. And you can search for it, you know, in the search component. Last year, I wrote this article and put this picture up here. And this is actually a true story. This guy was a Tarzan at Hong Kong Disney, and he went and got his master's degree in teaching English as a second language. And then he said, so how do I take being Tarzan and change my brand into being a serious teacher? And so I worked with him, and we really, so it was one of the few times that I actually told him not to take all his Disney experience off from his LinkedIn profile. So let me back up a little bit. I've worked with a lot of people who may have graduated from college, and through college they worked as a waitress or they worked as a barista or something. That's good to have on there until you land a job, but then that stuff can kind of fall off, you know, because it's not like where you want to go. In this particular situation, he worked in, I mean, it was a big deal. He worked in Hong Kong, for goodness sake, as Tarzan for many, many years and was the star of this big show, and it was a big deal. So I said, you need to leave that on there because it's really different, you know, about what you did. So I said, but you still need to beef up all of your stuff about being taken seriously as a teacher because you've got to get your foot in the door, right? But this might get your foot in the door. So when he was ready to go teach last January, he went for an interview with the school. He's in Florida. And after the interview, called me. And he said, Mom, this is my son. He said, Mom, I have a LinkedIn success story. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm in the car. I'm like, okay. And because I never heard those words out of his mouth ever. Because he was one of these that's kind of like, you know. He said he went to this interview and there was a table with like 6 people sitting around the table. He said they did not have my resume. They had my LinkedIn profile printed out, and they were all going through my LinkedIn because it was so detailed and had so much information on it. And they were asking me direct questions because he has a ton of certifications and he's done a ton of stuff within the ESOL, the English as a second language. He has a master's degree now and has really worked hard, but he didn't have a ton of experience with it. So he had to get his foot in the door. What do you think got his foot in the door? You know, and needless to say, it was mostly ladies sitting around the table. You know, he got the job and he's still there. And now he's the curriculum coordinator for Orange County Schools in Florida. So I told the story about that, and then at the very end, I actually did reveal that it was my son. And then I put his LinkedIn profile. So I asked permission to do this. First, I told him to write this article because he needed to come out a little bit more and brand himself as being able to write. You know, his degree was in English to begin with. He wouldn't do it. So I said, give me permission to write the story. I sent it to him. He approved it. I put his LinkedIn profile at the bottom of this thing, and after I published it, he said, Mom, did you publish that article? I said, yeah. He said, oh, no wonder I'm getting all these hits on my profile. So people were, you know, they're just you know, they're curious. So whenever you put a link on something, so you write a blog, you write something, and you want it to draw back to your website or to your original blog or something, you can actually link to things, and you will see that traffic. You know, that traffic is going to happen. So the other thing is, down here you can see your likes. And down here you can see comments. And you can see, somewhere I thought I could see my engagement on here. I don't see it right offhand, but there's maybe it's on the back. They must have changed it because back here it used to tell me like how many people it reached, you know, and how it went out and stuff like that. So so anyway, these are the kind of things that when you write in this publishing component that can set you apart as as branding yourself as here. It's got 315 people actually looked at it, and so it helps you to know what your reach is. So here's some of the LinkedIn things. So I did this one when that movie was out. That was that we don't talk about, but I wanted to use something that was kind of grabbing your attention on it. So and that's pretty much what I put in here. I'm pretty sure I got your attention, with the thing. So actually what I did was go in here and put in, how you basically set up your LinkedIn profile. So these are some of the things, and I did this one a few years ago, but it when you go through it, it's really helpful, and it's helpful for you to see, and the people who comment, and so I encourage you to, even if you're not a writer, anybody can almost write anything. It doesn't have to be that long. It can just be some kind of original content about something that you care about or industry related with that. So let's see, we've got about 10 more minutes. We have got to talk about, any questions on this activity part? Did I answer your question about the activity? Start slow, just start liking something. Like all of my stuff, that will really help a lot.
How are you actually posting it into there?
Into where?
The articles and activities?
It feeds automatically into there. I don't.
Oh, okay.
Anything I do on here automatically feeds into that. So if we're connected and I go to your news feed, into your profile, it's going to show me all the stuff that you've done too. It's actually it's been very helpful for me as someone who works in different industries, and if I know I'm going to have a meeting with someone, I always connect with them, and then I go and see what their interests are, just by kind of looking at this stuff.
So I think what she's asking, if you publish a post, like you showed us at the beginning, I think that's where that
Then it'll show up here.
right?
Yep.
Okay.
Anything you do, the articles and activities are over here, and then over here is the stuff that you like and you comment on. So it's kind of two different components it's showing you, but both equally important. Okay, so you've got your experience section under that. You can embed media in here. Here's how you make your changes on this. The education, volunteer experience. This section right here, we're going to spend a little bit of time on it because your skills and endorsements are using your keywords, and these are the kind of things that will set you apart like no other. So this brings a lot of SEO, again, the search engine optimization. You can have up to 50 skills in here at a time. They just changed the look of this, and I really don't like it, but what it does is your skills and endorsements start here. So everybody in here may or may not have this part filled out. I guarantee you don't have it filled out correctly unless you've been through a class of mine, because this has changed. And I hated this section for the longest time. If anybody's been on LinkedIn for any amount of time, you used to log in, and at the top of the page it would say, do you want to endorse Amanda for blah blah blah? And if you said yes, then it would click, and the next one would come up, and the next one, and the next one, and you would be in this revolving door that you didn't ever think you could get out of, and you were just clicking, to get out of it. Because I might have been endorsing Amanda for skills I didn't even know she had. That happens. And they may not even be skills that she actually put on here. Because if you didn't fill out this section, LinkedIn will pull words out of your profile and try to find skills for you. So very important for you to brand yourself and put your own words in here. So that being said, you can do up to 50. Even if you sit and you just write down your skills or write down a few to start with, then after you get them in here, make sure that the ones that you really want to be known for are part of the top 3. That's going to provide more SEO for you to have them up at the top. So I'm going to show you how to add a new skill, and it'll kind of, I'm just going to start typing. So I have marketing already in here, but what it's doing is suggesting other terms with marketing in it. So those terms are already utilized on LinkedIn, and it's kind of encouraging you to use keywords that have a lot of SEO already in it. So I could do product marketing, for instance. I don't do product marketing, but say, for instance, I did. I could click on that, and that would go into my skill set. So that being said, when you start typing in a skill, if it comes up with a suggestion, click on one of the suggestions if you can. If it doesn't fit you, you still can put in, I can't put in marketing because I already have it, but I could still type something else and hit add, and it would go in there because your skills might be unique and it may not already be used. But if it is used, use it. Does that make sense? Because it's already being used by other people and already kind of has some foundation. So it's that easy to do it. And I want to show you how they come up behind the scenes and how you change it. So I talked about the top 3. This is how you move something. You just click over here on these little lines and it turns into the 4 arrows, and you just pull it up. And you can move it up to the top. You can only have 3 pinned at the top. So if I tried to pull public relations up, it would say to me, hey, you already got 3 at the top, you got to remove 1. So I would have to move something down to push that up. But this is really important for your brand. Whatever you want to be known for, or wherever you're going in the future, make sure that these things are out there, and these are the words that you want to be known for. Does anybody have any questions on this?
So if I'm making changes on that right now, I need to go into that one feature first and turn off the notifications and something so it's not sending out all these notifications.
This will not send out any notifications, but I would still suggest you do that regardless. It's not going to say that you updated your skills and endorsements. It's not going to say that. It used to, but I would still turn that off because you don't want to just do this and then you go, oh, I need to change this too. And one thing usually leads to another. So don't get caught in that trap. I just leave mine off all the time. Unless I'm announcing a job or something, then I go and turn it off. I just leave mine off all the time. So come up with your keywords. You can have up to 50. If you have 20, that's really good. This person that I was telling you about with the IT resume, this is where her use of acronyms really can come in handy. And people are actually searching for these acronyms to hire people like that. And if this is filled out, then it'll come up. And so this is where I told her to really, really utilize her LinkedIn profile with those acronyms on here. And she has to find, she probably had 75 acronyms, but she could do 50 of the most, imperative ones and put them within here.
Put more than one in one line?
You can't. It only allows you to do one at a time because it's going to focus in on that keyword as the important thing. Now you can put it. This is where when she writes her summary, she could do some bullets and she could combine things. But within this section, it's only going to allow you to do one at a time for a reason, because it's trying to look for those keywords with those, Google bots or whatever that look through here and are trying to pull things out. But you have to have your profile optimized with all the little sections that we went over in here completed before you're going to be able to be searched for. This is important, so be sure that everybody understands this aspect of the importance of it. The other thing is, remember me telling you that people used to endorse you for different skills on here? So like I have, let's see if I can pull this up. We'll just look at, okay. So I have 183 people who have endorsed me for marketing on here. So now what LinkedIn has done, and I wish they had not done it. I hated it when you could just endorse people for anything, first of all, because it wasn't credible. But now they make it almost impossible to endorse someone unless you go to their profile and you endorse them for something. So people aren't just they're just not gonna do that. It's an extra step. I have seen lately where people have gone, like logged in. I have logged in, and on my news feed, I've seen people I'm connected to, and it'll say, hey, do you want to endorse so-and-so for so-and-so? And I'm like, oh, yeah, you know, I know that they do that skill, so I might as well endorse them for that. The more endorsements you have for a particular skill, the higher SEO. So graphic design, you know, you would want to try to get some endorsements for that. Now, you can't buy the endorsements, and it's kind of unethical to seek them out. However, if you do work for someone and they know that you do what you do, you could actually send them a note on LinkedIn and say, hey, would you endorse me for graphic design? Because I know that you do that, and I know you're good at it. So that would be fine. What I don't like, and I've had this happen, where someone has connected with me, this person I don't know, they've connected to me because we had several mutual connections, but I never met them. They actually sent me a message and said, hey, will you endorse me for all of my skills, and I'll endorse you for all of your skills? And I came back and I said, no, I don't know you, and I don't know if you do that skill, so why would I endorse you? And he called me a LinkedIn Nazi, and which was fine. Which I've been called worse, maybe. But you know, I just wasn't going to do it. I was like, well, that's like a child, you know. So anyway, I blocked him, and reported him to LinkedIn, which you can do that too. But this is really, really important. So I want you to understand this one. And we're out of time, but really get recommendations. That helps you. Put your honors and awards and organizations and volunteer work that you have. That all is part of your branding. Things that you're interested in, and we now have time to talk about this, but I also want really quick to show you groups. Let me go into groups. You have to go in that way. It doesn't show up on your newsfeed anymore. You can join up to 50 groups at a time, and groups are your industry related groups, or your networking, or your alumni. I think they're important. They're not as important as they used to be because they don't show up on your newsfeed, and you have to go to that extra step to look at them. However, if you're trying to become an industry thought leader, you would join some industry related groups and post things within that group that people of interest of that group, obviously. So look up groups to join. It is a little bit of an extra step. There may be some author groups out there. There's definitely life coach groups out there, I would imagine. So at least join their groups. You have to request to join, but then you can, like I said, maybe network with some other people who are like-minded. Any questions?
Can you share one more time how to turn off the notifications? I went to settings and privacy, and I don't see sharing profile edit on my phone.
What are you on?
LinkedIn on my phone.
Okay, it may be different. Go here, and you sharing profile edits, and it may not be on your phone. And scroll, if it allows you to scroll down. Is it on there, Kathy?
I looked a minute ago when you were going through, and mine's not, on
It
the
says
phone it's not set up like
permitted
that. I've
services.
seen it on my laptop. but not-
You'll have to do it on your laptop probably. Like I said, with all this, I would pull all this stuff up on your laptop and look at it. That's where you get the best look for it. And you guys are all good?
How do we get the other two licenses? The ones that haven't been, you said this is like a third tier, do you have the other two?
Oh, well,
Here before?
They're on our new knowledge page on YouTube.
have I done them all here?
You've done
They're
it.
doing one in January. They're in the wall, and then they're on the counter as you walk out the door.
Yeah, so LinkedIn, yeah, you probably need a kind of a basic class. I can give you my,
It's not even me, actually.
it's not you?
No, it's not me.
Is it your boss?
No.
Okay.
It's my colleague, she just had a kidney removed, so out right now, and there's me, it's not even what I do, so.
Okay.
We've got to figure out how to get her into these other ones once she gets back.
Okay. Well, I don't even know what I'm offering in January. I cannot remember.
I think it's finding a job on LinkedIn.
Finding a job on LinkedIn, so that's probably not what she wants.
No, we're actually looking for a way to get our crisis center, get us out there more. It's not for personal use, it's for our.
Oh, your company page.
Yes.
Why don't you come to can you come to ETSU tomorrow to the Small Business Development Center? I'm doing a class at, well, it's early though. It's at 9 a.m.
What is it?
It's the Tennessee Small Business Development Center at ETSU. It's on West Market Street. And I'm actually doing one on company pages tomorrow.
Yep, January is finding a job on LinkedIn, and then on March the 6th, you'll be LinkedIn tools you didn't know existed.
Ah.
So how can my boss find this? Can you find this on the internet somewhere?
Well, yeah, I mean, like you can go to their page and see all their classes that they've got listed.
Okay.
And ETSU, that one I just gave you, do a search for that. They offer tons of classes too. They're $25 typically for the class to take, but very affordable.
Any new knowledge class you want to see, go to YouTube
Okay.
and go to the search engine to New Knowledge, subscribe to that channel. There's 100 and some videos that Sandy has uploaded. Sandy says
Yeah,
they're-
today's will be up there later in the day or tomorrow.
Okay.
Today's session will be up there.
And
Okay.
exciting news, we're getting ready to start our business plan challenge, and to kick it off, next class on November 28th is how to write a business plan. We love our
Big
friend Cindy Hagman, and we're always so
Thank you.
thrilled when she comes to see us, and she's always does a great job. And you know, you've got her contact
Yep.
information, and she's always very willing to respond to email questions. So
Yep.
thank you once again.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. Thank you. She can.
I am going to do this for me though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would have her go if.